Mark Kelly, husband of Gabby Gifford. Gabby Gifford was I can't remember her position, forgive me. I can't remember, was she a rep or?
She's in Congress, I don't remember.
She was a representative out of Arizona. She was the one that was shot. We've all heard about her, and she did recover, thank God. But she was shot by a deranged maniac while she was giving a speech in Arizona. Her husband, veteran Mark Kelly, former captain in the military, he likes to be called Captain Kelly, spent 2 hours testifying at the federal conference. What do you call it? What was it? I can't think of what they call it. The federal hearing, I'm sorry. He spent 2 hours testifying on the gun grab side of things, on how we must curtail the right to own semi-automatic weapons, specifically AK-47s, AR-15s, SKS, you name it. Last week, this man was caught purchasing an AR-15. Yeah, he went in to buy a 1911, and while he was there, he bought an AR-15. The guy that owned the store figured out who he was, reported it to the local news media. Now the story's broke that this man who testifies at a federal hearing that we do not have the right to have those weapons, he bought one for himself. I don't care what military he was in or what captain. I don't care if he was a general. He has none of my respect. He threw out the respect that he had as a serviceman of this country when he tried to curtail our rights to defend ourselves.
Well, yeah.
Janet Schakowsky, you need to know her name. She is a Democratic representative in Illinois. She recently gave a television interview where she said, the assault weapons ban is just the beginning. Handguns are next. So those kind of statements, you need to look for that. That's why you need to turn into certain news outlets that you don't care to watch, because you will hear some things that you need to know. Once again, this woman should be removed from her office immediately and tried for treason against the American people, period. Senator Chris Murphy out of Connecticut recently sent a certified letter to Brian France, the CEO of NASCAR. NASCAR Sprint Cup race coming up in April is sponsored by the NRA. It's the NRA 500. And rightfully so, the winner at Texas Motor Speedway shoots blank six-shooters in Victory Lane, gets a cowboy hat and a Winchester rifle. So what a better sponsorship, and I'm so proud of the NRA for sponsoring that event in lieu of what's going on. In his letter, Representative Chris Murphy told Brian France that NASCAR needed to rethink their position, and they should be ashamed of themselves for allowing the NRA to sponsor such a big event. Can you imagine that? Once again, Chris Murphy should be removed from office immediately and tried for treason. We listened to Rahm Emanuel and Eric Holder and many others, but those two specifically are on record. You can pull it up on your computer. They're on record saying we need to brainwash gun control. And I quote, that's a quote from Eric Holder, your Attorney General. We must brainwash high school students that guns are bad. They brag about we must take advantage of these tragedies. How can an elected official with a straight face get excited? These people are evil people. When you cup your hands together in excitement because you're thinking of all the tyrannical laws you can pass based on tragic events that I believe you manufactured to begin with to implement your solutions. To summarize it, it's problem, reaction, solution. You create the problem to get the reaction so you can implement the solution. And tyrannical governments throughout time have used that as a premise to set up a tyranny of control over their citizens. And it's happening right here in the United States. Recently in New Jersey, an NRA certified firearms instructor and a state of New Jersey certified hunting instructor for youth had a day of shooting with his family, and at the end of the day he was so proud of his 10-year-old son for his marksmanship and all those things that we think are good and hold in high honor. He took a picture of his proud son with his .22 Armor Light rifle. By the way, AR is not assault rifle, it's Armalite rifle. We need to spread that to some of the dumbed down Americans. This picture hit Facebook at 3:30 in the afternoon. By 6 o'clock, this man's house was raided by Child Protective Services and the State Police of New Jersey because of a photograph of his son. He called his lawyer, got his lawyer on a speakerphone, and they were able to stave off the raid. And after 2 hours, Child Protective Services and the police finally left empty-handed, and they got to see nothing. How many times have we heard in the wake of Sandy Hook? A lot? Anybody? Have you heard it? In the wake of Sandy Hook, we need to take your guns, sir. In the wake of Sandy Hook, my proud veteran, you can't have that rifle. Don't you care about the children? In the wake of Sandy Hook, let me tell you something. In the wake of Sandy Hook, the only thing that I want to hear is that gun-free zones are illegal. Yeah. Whoa. Somebody, I can talk without it, but I do need it. Gun-free zones are illegal. That's what we need in the wake of Sandy Hook. Thank you. In the wake of Sandy Hook, we need to hear that the federal government immediately appoints retired and unemployed veterans that are seeking work and gives them jobs holding down our schools. Yeah. Think of all of the unemployed veterans and all of the veterans that would be so proud to be able to put on some fatigues and carry that automatic weapon and stand post at our schools. I bet your butt you would never have another mass shooting in a school in the United States again. Amen. And not to say that one man with a rifle can stop an attack, that's not my point. But one man with a rifle is a strong deterrent because the people that do these cowardly acts do not want confrontation, and when they are confronted by an armed person, they most often turn the guns on themselves immediately. The fact that our federal government wants to say in the wake of the shootings of Sandy Hook, but yet we see them do nothing that would actually improve the safety of our children in these schools, should really alarm us all and wake you up to the fact that this is what they want. They want you to be scared. They want there to be incidents of mass killing so that they can use it to curtail your rights and hoard you into a tyranny. Period. By assembling here today and flying the flags that we are flying, and you just sitting here listening to me, you are declaring yourself a domestic terrorist.
It's okay, I was one already.
No longer can we be afraid or hide from what the federal government is putting on paper. Because you put it on paper does not make it law. Because you put it on paper does not make it popular public opinion. And by God, I will not be afraid of anything put on paper by the federal government. So let's go ahead and accept it as a compliment that we are domestic terrorists. We are domestic terrorists against tyranny. CNN recently showed a talking point, and then they put up a little graph, a little thing for you to look at that said the increase of hate groups in America. Hate groups are on the rise. And guess what? The number one hate group is patriots. We are in some scary times. Our television sets are telling us that if we believe in the Constitution and the principles in which this country were founded on, and if we have reverence for all of the horrible deaths and all of the blood that was shed to guarantee your freedoms, we're a hate group? Boy, I get physically sick sometimes. And whenever you hear me up here in a long pause, it's not because I'm struggling for my next talking point. I'm angry. I get upset. We have a president that accuses us of jetting up the fear. We are jetting up the fear because we are protesting for our rights against a tyrannical system. To me, that is the most amazing statement. We're jetting up fear while our country is arming itself to the teeth against us, simultaneously trying to disarm us. And for those of you that are not specifically aware, you need to know the Department of Homeland Security to date has ordered over 2 billion rounds of ammunition. This is a domestic security force created in the wake of the terrorist attacks of September 11th, 2001. I'm sure some of us, even myself, I initially supported the Patriot Act until I found out what it was. I certainly did not support NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act. The National Defense Authorization Act, along with the Department of Homeland Security, are arming themselves for civil unrest against the citizens of this country. And if you think that's a crazy statement, I encourage you to research it, and you tell me, what does a civilian, not a civilian, what does a domestic security force need 2 billion rounds of ammunition, 3,000 armored vehicles, and 7,000 fully automatic rifles? Tell me what they need it for. Who's attacking us in the homeland? 2 billion rounds of ammunition, to put it in perspective for you, would wage a full-out ground war in the United States for 30 years. 30 years. That's how much 2 billion rounds of ammunition. Why in the hell does the Department of Homeland Security have 2 billion rounds of ammunition? That's just something I encourage you to research. You need to look into that. And we must demand that Congress get answers. We must demand that we find out, why do they have this armament? Why are they arming themselves against the people? One minute? You are kidding. Oh my gosh.
She's armed.
Oh, okay, 1 minute. Oh my goodness. I wish you'd told me that 10 minutes ago. Just do your research. Please research the things I've told you. Let me tell you some things that we need to cling to. Every sheriff in the state of Utah has issued a letter to the White House saying not only will they not enforce unconstitutional laws, they will stand with their citizens in resistance. They will stand with their citizens in resistance. Every sheriff in the state of Florida has issued an open letter to the government saying not only will they not enforce unconstitutional laws, they will stand in resistance with their citizens. For a sheriff to say he will not enforce does not mean much to me. We need sheriffs and politicians to say not only will they not enforce, they will stand in resistance with their citizens against federal agents if need be. Can I go 2 minutes over? It's not aggressive. It's not threatening. It's a defensive position. They are aggressive against us. There's nothing against the law or aggressive to say that a line must be drawn if they start trying to confiscate guns here in Texas or pass laws like they have in New York or Colorado. We need to be aware they've already passed tyrannical laws in New York and Colorado. So it can happen here if we're not vigilant. States are falling as we speak. 18 states right now have already passed or seriously considering passing similar legislation that was passed in New York. We need to stay on top of that. Chief of Police Mark